Once upon a time in a faraway land, there lived a young woman who was admired by everyone for her beauty. The girl grew up with the belief that she was superior to others because of her looks. In the middle of the clearing stood a magnificent castle made of shimmering gold and precious stones. Intrigued, she decided to explore further, and soon found a magnificent dining room with an enormous table set for dinner. As she walked further, she heard the sound of footsteps and hid behind a suit of armor. A beast appeared, his face hidden behind a golden mask. The witch handed the girl a small vial filled with a strange liquid and instructed her to use it wisely. The girl thanked the witch and hurried back to the castle. When she arrived, she found the beast pacing anxiously inside. He had no memory of the previous night and was afraid that he might revert back to being a beast. He was known for his bravery and honor and had many However, Philip was also tired of the superficial relationships he had with other nobles and longed for a partner who understood him on a deeper level. As she looked around, she noticed a handsome young man sitting by the fireplace. He looked up and saw Aurora and immediately stood up to greet her. Aurora and the prince were taken aback by each other's beauty and couldn't help but smile. He dreamed of finding a princess who was not only beautiful, but also kind and intelligent. They ruled the kingdom with wisdom and compassion and were known for their fairness and justice. They had 3 beautiful children and lived happily ever after. The queen was a kind and welcoming woman who made Aurora feel right at home. They quickly fell in love and realized that they had been searching for each other for a long time. They treated her like a servant and prevented her from attending the royal ball where the handsome Prince Charming was expected to appear. She went to answer and was surprised to see a beautiful woman standing on the doorstep. The woman introduced herself as Ella as fairy godmother and told her she had come to take her to the ball. Ella was overjoyed, but then remembered her tattered clothes and lack of shoes. The fairy godmother waved her magic wand, and in a flash, Ella was wearing a beautiful gown and glass slippers. Ella longed to go to the ball and dance with the prince, but her stepmother forbade her from even stepping foot outside the house. Ella thanked her fairy godmother and rushed to the ball. They fell in love at first sight, and he was captivated by her beauty and grace. However, as the clock struck 12, Ella panicked and ran away, losing one of her glass slippers in the process. Aurora and Philip rode through the streets on a golden chariot, and everyone cheered for their beloved princess and prince. He organized a kingdom-wide search, and when the slipper was brought before him, he knew he had found his true love. They held a grand reception in the castle with all their friends and family and danced the night away under the stars. They exchanged heartfelt vows and promised to be together forever. Ella became the princess of the kingdom and lived happily ever after with her prince. She offered Aurora a place to stay while she explored the kingdom, and Aurora happily accepted. He sat down at the table and began to eat. She ordered her daughters to sew a new slipper that matched the one Ella had lost. However, no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't make a perfect match. Ella was known for her gentle spirit and unwavering kindness. However, the slipper fit Ella perfectly, and Prince Charming was overjoyed to have found his true love. Despite her gentle nature, Ella had a difficult childhood. Her father married a wicked woman who treated Ella like a servant and forced her to wear rags. The beast was skeptical, but desperate to hold on to his humanity. He drank the potion. The stepmother was determined to make Ella's life miserable and ordered her to clean the house and take care of her stepsister. Ella worked tirelessly, but no matter what she did, it was never good enough for her stepmother. They ruled the kingdom together and were known for their kindness and generosity. People from all around came to visit them, and their story became a legend passed down through generations. As soon as the liquid touched his lips, the beast's eyes widened in recognition. She was known throughout the land for her grace and kindness, and everyone adored her. However, deep down inside, Aurora felt incomplete and yearned for something more than the luxurious life she was living. She wished to experience the world outside the castle walls and meet someone who could make her feel truly happy. He remembered everything from the previous night and realized he had fallen in love with the girl. Overjoyed, he embraced her and they shared a passionate kiss. She treated the villagers like they were beneath her and always looked down upon them. Suddenly, the beast looked up and caught her staring. Startled, the girl screamed and ran away. But one day she heard that the beast was holding a grand ball and was curious to see what it was like. She put on her finest dress and attended the ball, where she danced with the beast and had a wonderful time. She wanted to experience the freedom and adventure she had always craved. As she walked through the trees, she came across a clearing and gasped in amazement. In the middle of the clearing stood a magnificent castle made of glistening white marble and adorned with beautiful gardens. At midnight, the spell that turned him into a beast would break and he would become a human again, and the girl realized that she had fallen in love with him. She ran and hid in a nearby cave until she was sure the beast wasn't following her. Then she emerged from the cave and continued on her way. Even though people loved and praised her, she never felt appreciated. One day, the girl was walking through the forest when she came across a clearing. Seeing this, the girl ran out of the castle, crying. She wandered aimlessly for days until she came across an old woman who took pity on her and offered her some food and shelter. The old woman told her she was a witch and asked if she could help her. The girl explained about the beast, and the witch told her that she could make her a potion that would help her be chosen by the beast. As the girl watched, she couldn't help but notice that the beast was actually quite handsome despite his ferocious appearance. From that day on, the girl avoided the forest and the castle. However, the beast didn't recognize her, and as the clock struck 12, he began to transform back into a beast. The girl was hesitant, but desperate to be with the beast. She agreed. The girl approached him and offered him the vial, telling him it was a love potion that would help him remember their night together. The girl and the beast were deeply in love and eventually got married. Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a beautiful princess named Aurora. Meanwhile, in a distant forest, there lived a handsome prince named Philip. One day, Aurora decided to venture out of the castle and explore the nearby forest. Intrigued, Aurora decided to explore further and soon found herself in a cozy living room. They introduced themselves and began chatting, and Aurora learned that the prince lived in the castle with his mother, the queen. Over the next few days, Aurora and the prince spent time together exploring the nearby towns, going on horseback rides, and sharing stories about their lives. On the day of their wedding, the entire kingdom celebrated with joy and festivities. Aurora and Philip were overjoyed to be married and eager to start their new life together. And they say that even today, if you listen closely, you can still hear the echoes of their laughter and love throughout the kingdom. Once upon a time, in a mystical land, there lived a young woman named Ella. One day, Ella's father passed away, leaving her in the care of his widow. Ella's stepsisters were vain and cruel, and they mocked her for her tattered clothes and lack of beauty. One day, Ella was sweeping the floor when she heard a knock at the door. The fairy godmother warned Ella that the magic would wear off at midnight and she must return home before then. At the ball, Ella was the center of attention and danced with Prince Charming all evening. Prince Charming found the slipper and became obsessed with finding its owner. Meanwhile, Ella's stepmother had discovered the truth about her identity and was furious. When Prince Charming arrived at Ella's house demanding to see the woman whose foot fit the slipper, Ella's stepmother tried to trick him by forcing her daughters to try it on. He and Ella fell deeply in love and were married in a beautiful ceremony.